Most cars make you choose between style and practicality, but the Civic Hatchback is all about combining the two. Obviously the hatch can fit more junk in the trunk, but it also adds some extra flair, especially in the sport trim. Like always, this review will cover all 5 trims of the Civic Hatch, not just this loaded sport touring. So let's go ahead and see if this is the perfect Civic. We would like to specially thank Gates Honda for allowing us to come out and film this review. If you would like to find out more information about their dealership and large inventory of Hondas, then check the video description for both their physical and web addresses. Like all Hondas, middle to upper end Civics have smart entry and this key fob. It's pretty nice, and remote start is also included. As always, we'll start out by looking under the hood. One of the big benefits of the hatch over the sedan is that it loses the base engine. That means all hatches come with the 1.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder, producing 174 or 180 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. That engine is paired to a continuously variable transmission in most cases, but there is a 6-speed manual available in the LX and the Sport. When it comes to fuel economy, changes in EPA testing procedure have actually increased the mileage this year. With the CVT, it is now rated at 31 city, 40 highway, 34 combined, except for the 2 sport trims, which come in at 30 city, 36 highway, 32 combined. With the manual, the rating squeezes right in between, at 33 combined. Well, now that we've hit the basics, let's walk around the outside. Since the Civic Hatch just came out last year, there aren't any major changes to note. Up front, you still have the typical Civic grille, with the obvious distinction of being all black instead of chrome like on the sedan. This looks particularly menacing when paired with this black exterior. It leads nicely into the headlights, which are these premium LEDs on the Sport Touring only. All the other trims come with halogens. Fog lights are also included on all but the LX. The hatchback comes with different wheels from the sedan, in 3 varieties. We have the biggest option of 18-inch contrast alloy wheels, which interestingly also come on the cheap sport trim as well. The 2EXs share 17-inch alloys, and the base LX has its own 16-inch alloys. The brakes are 11.1-inch ventilated disc in the front, and 10.2-inch solid disc in the rear. and the tires are all seasons. Heading up to the mirrors, they are body colored on all models and heated on the EX and above. EX and up will also find this lane watch camera, which I'll demo a little later on the inside. Obviously from the side, the hatchback looks a lot different from the sedan, but it still retains its aggressive sloped roofline. The actual length is 178 inches long, or 4 inches shorter than the sedan. In regards to safety, the Civic excels with a rating of good on every test, including the brand new passenger small front overlap test. However, unlike some recent Hondas, the Honda Sensing Active Safety Suite is not standard on all or most of the trims. Only our Sport Touring has it standard, but the other trims, except for the Sport, can add it for $1,000. It includes lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation braking, and auto high beam headlights. Around back, the styling looks like a taller version of the sedan, which itself has pretty aggressive looks. Helping things look sporty is a standard spoiler, which blends in nicely with the taillights. Most of the unit is LED, and on all trims. And in the lower area, you have an aggressive design, set off by these center-mounted dual exhaust on the Sport and Sport Touring trims. Up at the top, there is a second rear spoiler, also standard on every trim. Coming to the fuel tank, it has a very small 12.4 gallon tank. Thankfully, the excellent fuel economy offsets that, and still delivers 422 miles of range with the most efficient configuration. Premium is recommended for the Sports to get that extra power. Well, that pretty much covers everything on the outside, so now let's move on to the interior. First, looking inside, the interior has a more traditional design than the outside does. Each trim can choose between black or ivory color combinations, with cloth seating on the LX through EX and leather seating on the EXL and Sport Touring. Fake carbon fiber trim comes on all but the LX. The door trim is made of the same seating material, so this loaded model has leather throughout. It is also padded on the top, and you have more of that trim. The front two windows are auto up-down. The two Sport trims also come with these really nice aluminum pedals. For the seats, EXL and Sport Touring trims come with this 8-way power driver's seat. The other trims have 6-way manual adjustments. The leather itself feels really nice, and the stitching design is befitting of a much more expensive car. Looking around the interior, things look more upscale and modern. The material selection is also upscale compared to most rivals. All of the upper dash except the gauges is really nice soft touch plastic. The middle portion is also soft touch with stitching, and even the hard touch pieces are high quality feeling, as is the leather. On EX and above, press the button to start. When you do, this 7-inch display will fire up on all but the LX and Sport, which make do with a 5-incher. Those same trims also come with these upgraded gauges. They feature this large digital display in the center, which can do a lot of the same stuff as the infotainment system. Overall, it's a very nice setup, particularly for a vehicle in this class. Every Civic hatch has electric power steering, fed through this really nice leather-wrapped wheel on the Sport, EXL, and Touring. On this side are the audio and display controls, and the other, the adaptive cruise and safety systems. Sport Touring models also have rain-sensing wipers. Finally, the wheel itself is manually adjusting, but heating is not available. Like I already mentioned, lane watch comes on the EX and above. When you use the right turn signal or press the button on the end of the stalk, it brings up a camera that views the blind spot. I'm not sure if this is better or worse than traditional blind spot monitoring, but it's definitely useful. These are small cars, but the Civic's amount of storage exceeds much larger vehicles. To start, it has an interesting center console. It configures in a ton of different ways, but regardless, it's really deep and large. If you slide the cup holders back, it reveals another cup holder, and also a USB port. Up in the front, there is another big area, but that pales in comparison to what's below. This space is big enough for a purse or something, and there is another USB port and a 12-volt outlet. I'm honestly surprised that there can be this much space without an electronic shifter. You can pull back again to Sport, which allows for manual shifting via the paddles. When you shift into reverse, a standard backup camera will come up. EX and Up have dynamic guidelines, but they all have 3 angles. Next to that, you have an electronic parking brake and brake hold feature. Nice touches for this class. The climate control is dual zone automatic on the EX and above, and single zone automatic on the others. As you can see, it's an interesting setup where the majority of the controls are on the screen. Temperature adjustments also show up there. Down below that, you have 3-stage heated seats on the EX and above. Now let's sample the 540-watt 12-speaker premium audio system, exclusive to this Touring. Sound quality is honestly not very impressive, especially considering the speaker count and dedicated solder. And that brings us to the screen, so let's quickly take a look at the HondaLink system. This isn't the newest version of HondaLink, but the functionality is mostly the same. This is the main home screen, and you have touch-sensitive buttons on the side of the screen for quick access. The first thing I'll look at is navigation. This is Honda's Garmin-based setup, which is actually refreshingly simple to understand and responsive. The Bluetooth audio controls also work really well. And here are all the other sources available. The other big thing to point out is that you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, as long as you have the touchscreen. This is really nice since it gives you navigation functions that you would otherwise have to go up to the EXL or Sport Touring to get. That's all I'm going to cover in this video, but if you'd like to see a very detailed look at the entire HondaLink system, then check out our dedicated Tech Out video. A link to that is provided in the video description. Moving on up, you have an auto-dimming mirror on the EXL and Touring, but no universal remotes. Honda also nicely includes a power moonroof on all but the LX and Sport. It opens nice and large, and there is a built-in wind deflector. So overall, the Civic Hatch's interior continues to impress. The design is really pleasant, the materials are top-notch, and the technology exceeds most in the class. In my opinion, this is the benchmark. Now I'll hand it off to my brother to finish things off.
Something uncommon for cars in this class are nice materials on the back door trim. This Civic has those, with leather across most of it. And your windows are power, but not automatic. Rear space in the Civic Hatch is good, but less than that of the regular Civic sedan. It comes in at 36 inches of legroom and 37.4 inches of headroom, so overall it's right around that of most in the class. The seat itself is extremely comfortable. As expected, you won't find any vents back here, but Honda was nice enough to give you rear seat heating on this loaded Sport Touring trim. There is also a fold-down armrest with a couple cup holders inside. Up top there's a light, a nice headliner, and an assist grip. I forgot to get the seat adjusted to Drew's position, but even with it mostly back, I have tons of space. I don't think space will be an issue for most. So summed up, the Civic Sport Touring's rear seat is extremely nice in general, and especially for the class. Features like the heated seats help elevate it above the competition in terms of comfort. Now that we're out, you can fold the seat back 60-40 split with these handles. Inside the hatch, you'll find an impressive amount of cargo space. To be exact, there's 25.7 cubic feet behind the second row, and 46.2 cubic feet with them folded, a vast improvement over the regular Civic sedan and others in the class. Honda was also nice enough to give all Civic hatchbacks a side pull cargo cover. The passenger seat is four-way power adjusting, but that's only on our loaded Sport Touring trim. Materials in front of the passenger are impressive, with lots of soft-touch plastic, and below it is your glove box. It's not dampened, but it is a good size. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2018 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring. Stay watching for a quick look at the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.